Aaron never thought he would leave Earth. He grew up in a quiet town where the most exciting thing was the sound of transport ships flying far above the clouds. He would watch them from his rooftop and wonder what kind of people lived on other planets. The universe was full of stories about strange species and advanced civilizations, but for him they were only words in books and images on screens. When the invitation came, he almost did not believe it. The Council of Worlds had chosen him to be one of the human representatives at the Grand Summit on the alien world of Vera. Scientists, leaders, and explorers from many planets were gathering there. Aaron was not a soldier or a politician. He was a young translator who loved languages. Perhaps that was why they picked him. He could understand patterns, see meaning where others only saw strange words. The journey took weeks. The starship carried humans and delegates from other colonies. Aaron spent the long night staring at the endless field of stars outside the window. Each one looked calm, but he knew behind some of them were storms, empires, and battles. He wondered if humanity was ready for all this. When they finally arrived, Vera was unlike anything he had imagined. The world glowed with silver seas and green forests that shimmered, as if touched by hidden light. Towering crystal towers rose from the capital, bending the sunlight into 1,000 colors. The air smelled fresh, carrying the sound of soft winds that sang through the glass-like structures. The summit was held in the palace of the Veran royal family. The halls were wide, built with stone that looked alive, shifting shades with every step. Delegates filled the chambers, their voices mixing in 100 languages. Some were tall and scaled, others with feathers that glimmered, some with skin like metal. Humanity was small among them, but still present. Aaron walked among them quietly, his translator device hanging at his side, though he often preferred to listen without it. It was during one of the formal walks in the palace gardens that his life changed. The gardens were famous across the stars, filled with trees that reached for the sky and flowers that opened only when touched by song. Aaron had wandered alone, trying to clear his mind after hours of endless speeches. He followed a narrow path until he reached a quiet corner where a small fountain flowed. There, standing beside the water, was Princess Nira of Vera. She was known across the system not only for her beauty but also for her wisdom. Many saw her as a symbol of peace between species. Aaron froze, unsure if he should bow or walk away. But she turned to him with a calm smile. "You are human," she said softly, her voice clear even without translation. "Yes, Princess," Aaron answered, lowering his head slightly. "Do you like our world?" she asked. "It feels alive," Aaron replied, "like the air itself is watching." She seemed pleased with his words. She stepped closer, her eyes bright like the twin moons of her world. For a moment, silence rested between them, broken only by the fountain's gentle sound. Then she reached up, lifted the crown from her head, and placed it into Aaron's hands. He gasped. The crown was not just metal. It pulsed with warmth, as if holding a heartbeat of its own. Its edges glowed faintly, and symbols moved across its surface like water. "Princess, I cannot take this," Aaron whispered, his hands shaking. "You must," Nira replied firmly. "The crown is more than a sign of rule. It is the key to the old defense of Vera. Soon, danger will come. I cannot carry it openly. They watch me too closely, but they will not watch you." Aaron shook his head, his heart racing. "Why me? I am no one important." "You are human," she said. "Your kind sees the world with different eyes. You will not be expected. That is why you must hold it." Before Aaron could argue, she pressed his hands closed around the crown. Her expression was steady, though there was sadness in her eyes. At that moment, a sound stirred from the shadows behind the trees. Aaron turned sharply and saw a tall figure step forward. It was Solon, captain of the Royal Guard. His armor gleamed under the soft garden light, and his face was calm but unreadable. Aaron's chest tightened. He thought he would be seized, accused of stealing the most sacred object of Vera, but Solon did not shout. He looked at Aaron, then at the princess, and his expression changed. He stepped forward, knelt on one knee, and bowed his head. "I saw nothing but trust," Solon said in a deep voice. "If the princess has given you the crown, then you will have my sword and my shield until the end." Aaron could barely breathe. The weight of the crown in his hands grew heavier, not because of its mass, but because of what it meant. He wanted to return it, to walk away, to pretend none of this had happened. But the eyes of the princess and the vow of the soldier held him in place. The garden suddenly felt different. What had been a peaceful corner now seemed like the center of the universe. The air carried a tension he could not name, as if the world itself was waiting for his choice. Arun closed his eyes and took a slow breath. He had always wanted to see the stars, to be part of something greater. Now, without warning, he was at the heart of it. Whether he was ready or not, he had been chosen. He opened his eyes and nodded. "I will keep it safe," he said quietly. Princess Neera gave a faint smile. Solan rose from his knee and placed a hand on Arun's shoulder, heavy and reassuring. "Then you are no longer alone," Solan said. "From this moment your path is tied to ours." And so the hidden gift became the start of a story that would change not only Arun's life, but also the fate of Vera, and perhaps the stars beyond. The garden became quiet after the princess placed her crown in Arun's hands. The crown's light dimmed, almost as if hiding itself from the world. Arun held it close, unsure what to do. His heart beat fast, his breath unsteady. Solan, the tall soldier of the royal guard, stood near him with calm eyes. The oath he had spoken was still heavy in the air, binding the three of them together in a way Arun could hardly understand. The summit continued as if nothing had happened. Delegates from across the stars filled the great hall of the palace, speaking of trade, of borders, of peace and conflict. Arun walked among them, trying to keep his face steady, but inside he carried a secret that could shake the whole world. Every step he took, he felt the weight of the crown hidden beneath his simple cloak. Solan never left his side. The soldier walked with firm steps, tall and silent, his eyes always moving across the crowd. Arun was not sure if Solan watched for enemies or for him. Sometimes Arun wanted to ask, but each time he looked at Solan's face, he saw only discipline and focus. It was as if Solan had been carved out of stone and given life to serve his oath. That night, when the palace grew quiet, Arun could not sleep. He walked to the balcony of his guest chamber, the crown held in his hands. The stars of Vera shone bright above the twin moons. He stared at the strange symbols moving across the crown's surface. They flowed like rivers, shifting and changing in ways his eyes could not fully follow. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he whispered. "You must keep it safe," a voice said behind him. Arun turned sharply. Solan stood in the doorway, his armor removed, dressed in a plain dark robe. Even without the armor, he carried the weight of command. "You should not sneak up on people like that," Arun said with a nervous laugh. Solan did not smile. He walked to the balcony and looked out at the moons. "This palace has ears in every wall. You must not speak loudly of what you carry." Arun frowned. "You swore to protect me, but why? You could have exposed me in the garden. You could have taken the crown back to the princess. Why trust me, a stranger, a human?" Solan turned his eyes to him, steady and unshaken. "Because the princess trusts you." "That is reason enough." Arun shook his head. "But I don't understand. I am no warrior, no leader. I am only a translator. Why would she choose me?" Solan placed his hands behind his back. "The crown is not only a jewel. It is the key to the ancient defenses of Vera. Long ago, our world faced enemies who wished to burn it. Our ancestors built guardians that could protect us, but only the crown could wake them. For centuries, it has rested in the hands of the royal line. If the princess gave it to you, then she saw something in you. I do not need to know why. My duty is to protect her choice." Arun looked down at the crown, its faint light shining on his face. He felt even more pressure now. If what Solan said was true, then he was carrying the future of a world in his hands. "What if I fail?" Arun asked quietly. "Then I fail with you," Solan answered. "That is the oath I swore." The soldier's words cut deep. Arun had never heard such loyalty, such devotion. On Earth, people spoke of promises, but they often broke them when things grew hard. Solan's voice carried no doubt. He meant every word. Days passed. The summit dragged on with endless debates. Delegates argued about borders, about trade routes, about who should control which star system. Arun listened as he worked, translating when needed, though his thoughts often wandered back to the crown hidden beneath his robes. Rumors began to spread through the palace. Whispers of betrayal floated in the air. Some claimed the princess had hidden something. Others said the crown itself was missing, though no one dared speak of it openly. Arun felt the weight of every glance in the halls, afraid someone would see through his calm face. One evening, while walking with Solan through the grand corridor, Arun noticed a group of nobles watching him. Their eyes were sharp, their whispers low. He leaned closer to Solan and whispered, "They know." "They suspect," Solan replied calmly. "There is a difference. Do not show fear. But Aaron could not help feeling fear. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. He clutched the crown under his cloak as if it might vanish if he let go. Later that night, as they walked through the quiet halls, Solon led him to a hidden chamber behind the council room. The walls were carved with old symbols glowing faintly in the dim light. This is one of the secret paths of the palace, Solon explained. Few know of it. If danger comes, you must follow me here. Aaron looked around uneasy. How many enemies do you think we have? More than we can count, Solon said. Some are outside our walls. Some are inside, Aaron shivered. You sound certain. I have guarded this palace all my life, Solon said. I know the sound of loyalty and I know the sound of greed. There are those who would sell their honor for power. If they learn you carry the crown, they will come for you. Aaron swallowed hard. Then why not take it yourself? You are strong, trained, loyal. Why risk giving it to me? Solon paused for a long moment. His eyes softened just slightly. Because the princess gave it to you. My strength is not in asking why. My strength is in keeping her choice alive. Aaron had no reply. He only looked at Solon, and for the first time, he began to see the soldier not as a shadow of fear, but as a wall standing between him and the storm. The following day, the council gathered in the great hall again. But this time the air was heavier. A rival counselor, Lord Varric, stood tall in his shining robes and raised his voice. The crown of Vera has been lost, he declared. It was last seen with the princess. I demand an answer. Has the royal line betrayed us? Gasps filled the hall. All eyes turned toward Princess Nira, who sat on her throne with calm grace. She said nothing, her eyes steady but silent. Aaron felt his chest tighten. His hands trembled under his cloak. He dared not move. He dared not even breathe. Beside him, Solon stood tall, his hand resting near the hilt of his blade. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp as steel. The council erupted in shouts, some demanding proof, others defending the princess. Aaron wanted to run to escape the storm of voices, but he stood frozen. He knew the truth was in his hands, yet he could not reveal it. When the council finally ended in chaos, Solon guided him back through the hidden halls. His steps were firm, his voice steady. The storm has begun, Solon said. From now on you must be ready. The eyes of enemies are upon you. Aaron nodded weakly. I am not ready for this. I am not made for secrets and wars. Solon stopped and faced him, his gaze sharp but not unkind. You are human. That is why you were chosen. You may not see it now, but you will. Humans fight not because they are trained from birth, but because they refuse to give up when the world pushes them down. That is the strength the princess saw in you. Aaron stared at him, uncertain, but deep inside a small spark lit in his chest. Perhaps Solon was right. Perhaps the princess had seen something he did not see in himself. That night, as Aaron held the crown close, he realized the truth. He was no longer only a translator. He was part of a secret that could save or doom a world. And with Solon's oath binding him, he was not alone. The road ahead was dark, filled with shadows of betrayal and danger, but for the first time, Aaron felt he might walk it without breaking, because someone believed in him, and because a soldier's oath was now tied to his life. The council chamber did not calm after Lord Varric's accusation. Rumors spread through the palace like fire in dry fields. Everywhere Aaron walked, he could feel eyes on him. The crown, hidden under layers of cloth in his small chamber, seemed to burn hotter with every passing hour. He feared that at any moment someone would break through the door and drag him before the council as a thief. Solon noticed the change in the air too. The soldier moved with more caution, never allowing Aaron to walk without his watchful presence. At meals in the great hall, Solon stood close, his hand never far from the hilt of his blade. Aaron sometimes felt like a prisoner instead of a guest, but he understood why. Danger pressed on them from all sides. One evening, as the moons rose high, Solon came to Aaron's chamber. His voice was low, his eyes sharp. You cannot remain in the open halls any longer, Solon said. The whispers grow stronger. Some already plan to accuse you directly. If they succeed, not even the princess can protect you. Aaron looked up, startled. So what do we do? I cannot leave the planet. The summit is not finished, Solon nodded. Then we go into the hidden paths. The palace is old. Beneath its stones are passages that few remember. There we will stay until the storm above cools or until the princess calls for us. Aaron's heart beat faster. The idea of crawling through dark passages beneath the palace did not comfort him. But the thought of facing the angry eyes of nobles was worse. He nodded, trusting Solon's judgment. That night, when the halls were quiet, Solon led him through a hidden doorway behind a tapestry. The air grew cooler as they walked down narrow stone steps. The walls glowed faintly with strange minerals that gave just enough light to see. The passage stretched on like a vein under the palace, winding in unexpected directions. They reached a small chamber deep underground. Old stone benches lined the walls and the ceiling curved low. Solon lit a small lantern and set it between them. "This will be our shelter," Solon said. "Here we wait." Aaron sat on one of the benches, the crown still wrapped carefully in cloth and hidden under his arm. The chamber felt heavy, filled with the silence of ages. He wondered how many secrets had been spoken in these walls, how many lives had been hidden here before his. "Solon," Arun asked after a long silence, "how do you live with such duty? You speak of oaths as if they are more important than your own life. Do you never doubt?" The soldier's face remained calm, though his eyes softened. "Doubt is for those who walk without purpose. My purpose is clear. I was trained from birth to guard the crown, the princess, and the line of Vera. When she placed the crown in your hands, my duty followed it. It is not for me to question. It is for me to protect." Arun leaned forward. "But do you not wish for freedom? To make your own choices?" Solon thought for a moment before replying. "Choice is not always freedom. Sometimes it is chaos. My oath gives me strength because it is simple. Protect, guard, remain loyal. In a galaxy full of lies, such truth is rare." Aaron listened carefully. He had never thought of life that way. On Earth, people often spoke of freedom as the greatest goal. Yet here stood a soldier who saw strength in chains of honor. Arun realized there was more than one way to live with courage. Days passed in the hidden chamber. Solon used the time to teach Arun. With only the lantern's light, the soldier showed him the basics of Veran combat: how to hold a blade, how to defend, how to strike without wasting movement. Arun's hands fumbled at first. He had never held a weapon seriously before, but Solon was patient. "You do not need to become a warrior," Solon said, correcting Arun's stance. "You only need to learn enough to survive. Strength is not in skill alone. Strength is in refusing to fall when the world tries to break you." Aaron practiced until his arms ached. Sweat dripped from his brow, but each day he grew steadier. He was still far from a fighter, but his heart grew stronger. He began to believe that maybe he could face what lay ahead. When they rested, Solon spoke of the history of Vera. He told stories of the old wars when enemies from beyond the stars tried to conquer the planet. He described how the ancient defense network had saved them, giant guardians hidden in the skies and under the seas, sleeping until the crown awakened them. "Without the crown, they are silent stone," Solon said. "With the crown, they are the shield of our world." Aaron looked at the wrapped crown beside him, its faint glow seeping through the cloth. He wondered what it would be like to see such guardians rise again. He wondered if he had the strength to be the one to awaken them. But even as Solon taught, the shadows of the court moved above them. Rumors turned to accusations. Nobles whispered of treason. Some said the princess had given the crown away to a foreigner. Others claimed it had been stolen, hidden to weaken Vera. The tension grew sharp enough to cut. One night, while Arun and Solon rested in the secret chamber, the sound of footsteps echoed through the passage. Solon was on his feet in an instant, his hand on his blade. The lantern's light shook as Arun rose, clutching the crown close. The footsteps stopped just outside the chamber. A voice called softly, "Solon, it is I." The soldier relaxed slightly and opened the door. Princess Nira entered, her cloak pulled low over her face. Her eyes met Arun's, steady and calm despite the danger. "You have done well," she said to him. "The crown remains safe." Aaron bowed his head, his voice unsteady. "Princess, the council grows angry. They speak of betrayal. They will not stay silent much longer." Nira nodded. "I know. Lord Varric spreads lies to weaken the royal line. He seeks to claim the throne himself. But the crown in your hands is proof of my trust, not of my betrayal. His words will not last forever." Aaron frowned. "Then why not tell them the truth? Why not show them that you gave it to me?" Her eyes softened, though her voice remained firm. "Because if I admit it, they will take the crown from you. And if they take it, they will destroy it or use it for their own greed. I gave it to you because you are outside their games. You are a human, unbound by their schemes. That is your strength." Aaron felt torn. He wanted to protect the crown, to honor her trust, but the weight of so many lies pressed on him. He looked at Solon, who remained steady as always and found strength in the soldier's calm. "I will keep it safe," Arin said finally. "No matter what they say." Nira gave a faint smile. "Then Vera still has hope." She stayed only a short while before leaving through the hidden passages. When the chamber grew silent again, Arin looked at Solon. "Do you believe we can stand against all of this?" Arin asked. Solon's answer was simple. "I believe in the oath. And now the oath binds us together. That is enough." Arin sat in the dim light, holding the crown close. The shadows of the court grew darker, but within him a new strength stirred. He was no longer the boy who came to watch and listen. He was part of something larger, a secret that could change the fate of a world, and though fear still clung to him, it no longer ruled him. For the first time, he began to believe that he could endure. The palace of Vera, once filled with bright colors and music, now carried an air of unrest. Servants spoke in whispers, guards tightened their patrols, and the council chamber echoed with louder arguments each passing day. Arun felt the weight of every rumor, every accusing glance, even though he still stayed hidden most of the time in the secret chambers below the palace. One morning, Solon woke him earlier than usual. The soldier's face was hard, his voice low. "The skies are no longer empty," Solon said. "Scouts have reported a fleet at the edge of the system. They are not friends." Arin sat up quickly, his chest tightening. "Whose fleet?" Solon shook his head. "Not yet confirmed. But I know their kind. Raiders, conquerors, opportunists. They have heard whispers that the crown is lost. They come now because they believe Vera is weak." The words made Arin's blood run cold. He looked at the crown wrapped safely in cloth beside him. "Then we have to give it back. If the crown wakes the defenses, we can save the planet." Solon placed a hand on his shoulder, heavy and steady. "It is not so simple. The crown can only be placed in the defense chamber by one who has earned the trust of the royal line. The princess gave it to you." "That means the burden is yours." Arin's eyes widened. "Mine, you mean? I must use it?" "Yes," Solon said. "You hold the key, and soon you must decide when to use it." The thought struck Arin with fear. He had trained with Solon, learned small lessons of survival and honor, but he was no hero. He was a translator, a boy from a quiet town on Earth. Yet now the fate of an entire world might rest in his hands. That very day, the council chamber shook with chaos. Lord Varric stood tall, his voice carrying through the hall. "An enemy fleet approaches," he shouted. "And where's the crown gone? The royal line has failed us. Without the crown, Vera will fall." The chamber filled with angry voices, some demanding surrender, others calling for war. Princess Nira sat calm, her gaze steady, though her silence was heavy. Arin, hidden behind a wall with Solon, listened to every word. "They want proof," Arin whispered. "They want her to show the crown." "But she cannot," Solon said. "If she shows it now, Varric will try to seize it. He would rather hold power for himself than protect the people." Arun clenched his fists. He hated the endless games of politics. Out in the stars, enemies gathered with weapons ready, yet here in the palace, leaders wasted time in arguments. By nightfall, the truth became clear. The enemy fleet had moved closer, and their message reached the council. A great hologram filled the chamber, showing the face of their commander. His skin was rough like stone, his eyes dark as coal. His voice carried the weight of threat. "Surrender, Vera," the commander said. "We know your crown is lost. Your defenses are dead. Give us your world and we may spare your people. Resist and we will burn your cities until nothing remains." The chamber fell silent. Even the proud nobles looked pale. When the image vanished, panic followed. Some shouted for surrender, others for desperate defense. But all eyes returned to the princess, waiting for her decision. Arin felt his heart race. He wanted to step out to show the crown, to end the doubt, but Solon's firm grip on his arm held him back. "Not yet," Solon whispered. "The time will come. Wait." That night, back in the hidden chamber, Arin could not sit still. He paced the stone floor, clutching the crown. Its faint glow painted his face with shifting light. "I cannot just sit here," Arin said. "They are coming to destroy this world, and I hide underground like a coward." "You are not a coward," Solon said firmly. "You are the keeper of the crown. Sometimes the strongest path is patience. But people will die if we wait too long," Arin argued. Solon's eyes met his. "Yes, and people will die if we move too soon. We must act with the right moment. That is what makes the difference between victory and ruin. Aron said nothing, but his chest felt heavy. He lay awake long after Solon had closed his eyes, staring at the crown. The princess had trusted him. Solon had sworn an oath. Now the world needed him. But how could one human boy be enough? The answer came sooner than he expected. The next day, shouts rang through the palace. Aron and Solon rushed to one of the upper halls, moving through the secret passages until they reached a small hidden window. Outside, flames licked the horizon. The enemy fleet had struck, firing on the outer defense towers. Smoke rose into the sky, and the air carried the sound of panic. Inside the palace, nobles screamed and ran. Guards rushed to protect the gates, though their faces showed fear. In the council chamber, Lord Varric raised his voice above the chaos. "This is the end," Varric shouted. "We must surrender. Without the crown, Vera cannot stand. Give the invaders what they want and save what lives we can." His words spread like poison, feeding fear. Aron's hands trembled as he held the crown. He turned to Solon, his voice low but urgent. "We cannot wait any longer. If we do nothing, this world will fall." Solon studied him for a long moment. Then he gave a single nod. "You are right. The time has come. We must reach the ancient chamber and place the crown." Aron's heart pounded. "Where is it?" "Beneath the palace, deeper than we are now," Solon said. "A chamber built by the first rulers. Few know of its path, but I was trained to guard it. Come." They moved quickly through the passages, carrying the crown with them, but they were not alone. In the shadows of the halls, figures moved. Some were guards loyal to Varric, their eyes sharp with suspicion. Others were spies who had followed whispers of the crown. More than once, Solon drew his blade, moving with swift strikes that left their enemies on the ground. Aron could only watch, clutching the crown, his chest burning with fear and determination. He saw now why Solon's oath mattered. The soldier was a shield, standing between him and every danger. At last, they reached a vast stone door carved with ancient symbols. Solon placed his hand against the stone, whispering words of the old tongue. The door rumbled open, revealing a chamber filled with glowing pillars and a great pedestal at the center. "This is it," Solon said. "The heart of Vera's defense." Aron stepped forward, the crown in his hands. The air in the chamber felt heavy, almost alive. The glowing pillars pulsed as if they recognized the object he carried. His legs shook as he climbed the steps toward the pedestal. He paused, looking back at Solon. "What if I fail?" Solon's voice was steady. "Then I will fall beside you. But if you succeed, you will not only save Vera, you will prove that humanity has a place among the stars." Aron took a deep breath. He placed the crown gently onto the pedestal. The chamber shook. Light burst from the crown, racing along the walls and pillars. Symbols glowed brighter and brighter until the whole chamber blazed with color. Outside, in the skies of Vera, ancient guardians stirred. Towers that had been silent for centuries awakened, glowing with energy. Vast machines hidden beneath the seas rose, their forms towering above the waves. Shields spread across the capital, blocking the enemy's fire. From the palace balcony, the council watched in awe. The enemy fleet unleashed its weapons, but their blasts shattered harmlessly against the awakened shields. The guardians answered with beams of light, forcing the invaders back. Aron stood in the chamber, the glow of the crown surrounding him. He felt a connection to something greater than himself, as if the crown whispered with voices of the past. He was not just a boy from Earth anymore. He was part of Vera's story. Solon stood beside him, his blade still in hand, his eyes shining with pride. "You did it," Solon said. The princess was right. Aron could only breathe, his chest rising and falling fast. The burden was not gone, but for the first time he felt strong enough to carry it. Above them, the enemy fleet began to retreat, their commander's voice silent now. Vera still stood, and its crown had chosen to trust a human. The battle was not yet over, but the rising threat had been met, and Aron knew that from this moment forward, nothing would ever be the same. The enemy fleet had retreated, but the skies above Vera were still restless. The shields around the capital glowed like a wall of light, strong and unbroken. Across the city, the people cheered when they saw the ancient guardians awaken, yet fear still lingered. Everyone knew the invaders would return. Aron remained in the defense chamber beside the crown. Its glow had faded into a steady light, as if it now breathed with the rhythm of the planet itself. He touched the cold stone of the pedestal and whispered, "It worked." Solon stood nearby, his sword still in hand, his eyes never leaving the doorway. It worked, he said. But the battle is not over. They will come again, stronger, and we must be ready. Aaron nodded, though his heart pounded. He had faced more than he ever thought possible, yet he knew this was only the beginning. When they returned to the council chamber, the nobles rose in shock. Many stared at Aaron, whispering among themselves. Lord Varric's eyes narrowed as he saw the glow that still clung faintly to Aaron's hands. It was him, one of the council members murmured. He placed the crown. The chamber filled with voices. Some shouted in amazement, others in anger, and still others in fear. Princess Nira stood slowly, her gaze sweeping across the hall until all fell silent. "This is Arun," she said clearly, "a traveler from Earth. When our enemies came, it was he who carried the crown to the ancient chamber. It was he who awakened the defenses that even we had forgotten." The words shook the chamber like thunder. Aaron shifted uneasily, not used to so many eyes upon him. He wanted to shrink back, but Solan's firm hand on his shoulder kept him steady. Lord Varric rose, his voice sharp as a blade. "And what does this mean? That we must kneel to an outsider? That Vera is to be ruled by a boy from a distant world?" Nira's gaze did not waver. "It means that the crown itself trusted him. The guardians awoke because of him. Vera stands because of him. That is the truth." Some nobles nodded, moved by her words. Others shook their heads, unwilling to accept. Arun felt the weight of their stares, but he also felt something stir inside him, a quiet strength that had not been there before. The debate raged for hours, but it ended when a scout rushed in, his face pale. "The enemy fleet returns, twice their number now. They gather for a final strike." The chamber fell into silence. No words were needed. The last stand was upon them. Aaron spent the next hours preparing alongside Solan. The soldier trained him quickly in simple defense with a blade, though they both knew Aaron's true role was not to fight with steel but to stand with the crown. The ancient defenses drew their power from the one chosen to bear it, and that bond was now his to carry. "You must stay close to the chamber when the battle begins," Solan told him. "The guardians will answer your will. If your spirit falters, so will they." Aaron swallowed hard. "And if I fall?" Solan's eyes were steady. "Then Vera falls with you. That is the weight of your choice." It was a heavy truth, but Aaron did not step back. He thought of his small town on Earth, of the simple days he once lived. He thought of how far he had come and of the trust the princess had given him. He could not turn away now. When the enemy fleet arrived, the skies burned. Their ships darkened the stars and their weapons struck like fire. The shields of Vera held firm, glowing bright, but the pressure grew heavier with each strike. From the balcony of the palace, Aaron watched the sky tremble. The guardians rose again, vast machines of stone and light, striding through the land and sea. Their voices were like thunder as they released beams of energy against the invaders. Yet the enemy was clever. They spread their forces wide, attacking not just the capital but distant cities, hoping to stretch the defenses thin. Arun felt the crown grow heavier in his hands, its glow flickering as if it too felt the strain. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply. He pictured the people of Vera, the farmers, the children, the families who had cheered when the shields first rose. He whispered to the crown, not in words of command but in words of hope. "Protect them. Stand for them." And the crown answered. The guardians shifted, their movements no longer slow but swift, as if guided by his will. They struck the enemy ships before they could reach the cities, driving them back with furious power. The shields spread wider, covering more ground, as though Aaron's hope gave them strength. From the council chamber, the nobles watched in awe. Even Lord Varric was silent now, his pride shaken by what he saw. Princess Nira smiled faintly, though her eyes still carried worry. She knew the battle was not yet won. The enemy commander's voice filled the air once more, his image projected above the skies. "You are nothing but a child," he sneered. "Do you think you can hold against us forever? We will break you. We will tear your world apart." Aaron lifted his head, his voice steady though his body trembled. "This world is not yours to take. As long as I stand, Vera will not fall." His words carried through the crown, echoing across the skies. The people of Vera heard it and their courage returned. Farmers took up tools to defend their homes. Soldiers fought with renewed strength, and even the council members who once doubted now stood together to guide their people. The battle raged for hours. Ships fell from the sky like burning stars. Guardians clashed with enemy machines on the ground, and the shields flickered with strain. Aaron's strength waned, his vision blurring, but he refused to let go. Every time he faltered, he felt Solan's hand steadying him, his voice reminding him that he was not alone. At last, the tide turned. The enemy ships began to scatter, their commander's voice filled with rage and disbelief. Impossible. A child cannot defeat us, but Aaron knew the truth. It was not just him. It was the trust of the princess, the loyalty of Solan, the courage of the people, and the bond of the crown itself. Together they had stood against the storm. With one final surge of will, Aaron raised the crown high. A wave of light burst from the Guardians, sweeping across the sky. The enemy fleet shattered under its force, their ships breaking apart as they fled into the darkness. Silence followed. The skies cleared. The people of Vera looked up and saw victory. When the battle ended, the city filled with cheers. Bells rang, fires were put out, and families embraced one another in relief. Aaron, weak but still standing, was led back to the council chamber. There the nobles rose to greet him not with doubt but with respect. Princess Nira stepped forward, her voice clear. "This boy from Earth has done what none of us could. He carried the crown when we had lost hope. He awakened the Guardians when we believed them gone. He faced an enemy greater than any we have known, and he did not falter." She turned to Aaron, her eyes steady. "You have proven that humanity is not weak. You have proven that we are not alone in the stars. Today Vera stands because of you." The chamber erupted with voices, not of argument but of unity. Even Lord Varric bowed his head, though his pride clearly pained him. For the first time, Aaron felt not like an outsider, but like one of them. Later that night, as the city celebrated, Aaron stood quietly on a balcony overlooking the lights of Vera. Solan joined him, his armor still marked with battle. "You carried the weight well," Solan said. "The princess was right to trust you." Aaron smiled faintly. "I was afraid every moment. I am still afraid. But maybe that's what it means to stand, to be afraid and still not turn away." Solan placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are human. And tonight you reminded us all why that matters." Aaron looked to the stars. He thought of Earth so far away, and wondered if his people would ever know what he had done here. But deep inside he knew it was not about fame or glory. It was about hope, about proving that even the smallest voice could make a difference. The crown still rested in the chamber below, glowing gently as if watching over the world it was bound to protect. Aaron knew his journey was not finished. The stars were wide and new challenges would come. But for now he let himself breathe. Vera had stood. Humanity had stood. And the story of a boy from Earth had become part of the stars forever.